Welcome, dear listeners, both of you, to another episode of This Might Get Ugly. Haha, Christmas, 'tis the season. A time of joy, of giving, of gathering, of eating, and of capitalism. I know, super original thought. Seasonal, timely, yada yada yada. As we deck your halls with twinkling lights and stress shop or do the one for them and one for me do-si-do, there's one thing this holiday season that I just can't break the habit of hating. Christmas cards. Something that was said to me after the election, in my grief, while exasperated at the reality that anyone could think he's the one to lead us, that most everyone, well, I won't say most everyone, but that a lot of people, even after one go at it, still believe that he's the one. Are we all really that disillusioned? Like, what am I missing? Am I wrong? What I was saying. They told me this is reality. Yes, I'm aware that they weren't imposing their values or were trying to change my mind. And this stopped me. Was that what I was trying to do? I thought I was just trying to understand. Was I actually changing someone's mind? Or was that how my grief was perceived? Was that what I was trying to do? I was trying to change your mind? Was I imposing my views? I didn't think so at the time because I truly was at a loss. Like, I just wanted to understand. And they made me feel guilty for that. They made me feel wrong for that. And then came the asks for our current address. And I knew what was coming. Christmas cards. The annual imposition on my refrigerator. I don't send out Christmas cards. I don't opt for a photo shoot to schedule this excessive event in my life to add to my to-do list. The presumption that people are expecting this, that they want this. I know, I'm just a hater. I'm just a hater. They're cute. It's nice to look at. But is this the slick imposition that's been piling against us? Of capitalism, Christianity, less so an assumption that I wanted their Christmas cards. I'll take the photos, yes. It's nice to have photos of the people you love and care about. But now the pile of cards come in and all at once they have to be on my refrigerator. But I don't have enough magnets. The weight of guilt of rejecting this paragraph of the social contract that I blindly agreed to the terms and conditions to. I would have never expected this to be such a massive thorn in my side. Am I being over dramatic? Am I overreacting? Probably. But in response to what this person told me, in a moment of just weakness and disbelief, of just, vulnerability, to say, like, I don't get it. I don't get what happened. It all ties together with this Christmas card thing. Do I dare call gift giving an imposition? But weirdly, this, reaction that I had, this visceral, physical reaction and unwillingness to share my address because I would like less Christmas cards. Yet every year it's more and more. It had me thinking. It's in the state of where we are right now. What if what's Christianity to right-wing politics could atheism, agnosticism, Marxism been to leftist politics? I was trying to dissect the associations with Christianity and right-wing conservatism. Was it actually Christianity or was it capitalism? Or is capitalism the new Christianity? Is it the religion? I don't know. My thoughts were all over the place. And I mean, let's get into it. What is religion? Could you imagine if I did a whole episode like that? What is religion? I joke, but I am going to talk about it because it's worth talking about. Religion is this weird, scary spaghetti monster in the sky sometimes, or at least that's what religion often teaches. Forgive me, I am an ex-Christian, if you can't tell already. And I have been confronting my excessive qualms about it. And I have many, many qualms. Show me the qualms. We'll start here. What is religion? Go. An expression of distress, a form of social control, a temporary necessity. Marx even said once workers overthrew capitalism, religion would no longer be needed. And that sounds kind of nice. But would that actually be the outcome? I mean, religion is this function of society, and again, baked in with more of my criticisms. It's a false consciousness. It's lazy morality. It's forced ethics. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate my upbringing to be able to synthesize all of this information and to form these thoughts for myself, having all this information, because I've been on that side. Was it a natural rebellion to just end up on the other side of it, to completely oppose it? Would it have been the other way? I've less so heard the stories of, and it fascinates me, when someone who's raised without religion, who's been raised atheist, then converts to Christianity or some other religion. I can understand going in that direction because it's a whole new concept. It's a whole new idea, a whole new world you get to enter. And mine's like this backpedaling, just like this. So what void am I filling? If my perception of atheism to religion is to fulfill a void, what's mine then? If I had it and then I'm getting rid of it, or had it, lost it, or I don't know. There's this saying that an intellectual person never ceases learning. However, a wise person is continually unlearning. Okay, I know it sounds like I'm trying to toot my own horn, but I aspire to be wise and intelligent. So I'm just going to say right here, I'm seeking a little bit of wisdom from a single saying that made me feel good to hear because it validates my worldview. We're all guilty of it, okay? Moving on.
You suck!
Okay, so I did some quick research to find a credible source and the actual verbiage of the quote I'm trying to relay to you. There are several iterations of, quote, intelligence is what we learn, wisdom is what we unlearn. This is credited to Canadian author J.R. Rim. I'm not familiar with, but I cannot find the actual book or text or video of this person actually saying this quote. There are several blog posts and shares of this exact quote. No doubt Socrates has his own version of this that could be related to exactly what I'm referencing. And again, it's, quote, intelligence is what we learn, wisdom is what we unlearn. Other versions of it, quote, if knowledge is power, knowing what you don't know is wisdom. Or intelligence is knowing what to do, wisdom is knowing what not to do. Okay, so if anyone listening, either of you, could actually find where this quote comes from, what its origins are, if J.R. Rim actually said this exact quote, please link it in the comments. Thank you. Okay, now moving on. And when I really think about it, I'm like, is this me compensating for a lack of critical thinking as a child? I was robbed of critical thinking. I was told to believe in a thing that I wholeheartedly did at the time because, I mean, I knew nothing else. I never considered there isn't a God. Spirituality was as natural to me as the vital urge to pee throughout the day. I have a hell of a lot of unlearning to do, and I love it. And it's constantly being so self-conscious not in the way that, we traditionally think of self-consciousness, but critically analyzing oneself to think, oh, is this something that was baked into me through childhood, or I was conditioned to perceive the world in a certain way? I've been robbed of critical thinking and freedom of thought in this secular sea of living. Okay, if now Christianity is injecting itself into politics and the separation of church and state is shrinking as quickly as the middle class is, I thought, what if Marxism was a religion? Could that work? I've really been, playing with this thought experiment. Marxism being the Play-Doh. Here we go, little story time. Imagine a smoky back room in a Parisian cafe, the air thick with the scent of strong coffee and the ghostly echoes of revolutionary whispers. Karl Marx, his scruffy beard, piercing gaze, sits at a table strewn with papers, trying to make sense of a world teetering on the brink of chaos. His philosophy, a heady mix of materialism and class struggle, is more than just an academic exercise. It's a call to arms, a manifesto for the oppressed. But what if we dared to consider Marx's ideas not just as a critique of capitalism, but as the framework for a new religion? He's turning in his grave right now. But religion has this uncanny ability to weave itself into the fabric of society, much like Christianity has with right-wing politics. I was listening to a journalist in their experience at one of Trump's rallies. He walked away talking with others who had also been at the rally, and how it almost seemed like a religious experience. What a strange thought. What a strange environment. How odd. Yet I haven't been to a Trump rally, so I would have no idea. But I am curious. What makes a religious experience? I mean, I've been on drugs at a rave. That felt religious. Music. Music is often confused with a religious experience. That's ultimately what I realized at the end. I was like, oh, raving is like church now, because it's kind of hitting the same notes, kind of hitting the same feels, same community connectedness. Please excuse my ADHD. I'm gonna add, I'm just as embarrassed by my raver past as I am my religious background. I actually recently asked my husband, I was like, what do you find more cringe? The fact that I was like leading worship and running small groups and the drama team at my local church, or that I was like really into raving? Pretty much without hesitation, he was like, oh, that you raved. Religion, it offers a moral compass. I do appreciate an upbringing in Christianity. I understand what my parents were doing. In their views, I am disrespecting it. I was going to say, don't disrespect it, but I appreciate it. I understand it. It offers a moral compass, a community, especially for us immigrants, and a narrative that can transcend the mundane. It motivated me to learn guitar, piano, it allowed me a lot of extracurriculars. I mean, those summer camps are some of my best memories. And in the same way, Marxism could provide a unifying vision, a collective struggle for justice and equality. Imagine a church of the proletariat where the sacred texts are the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, and the sermons are fiery critiques of exploitation.
Yummy!
But Marx himself, he said, religion is a protest against real suffering. It's a response to alienation, to dull the pain of exploitation, giving the working class hope through the promise of the afterlife, or promise of a giving father, of undeserved love and attention and affection, undeserved favoritism. His quote, "Religion is the opium of the people. It is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of our soulless conditions." But let's not confuse ideology with religion. Ideology is a set of beliefs that inform our understanding of the world. It's the blueprint for action. Philosophy, on the other hand, left hand, I often assume as the other hand, is the pursuit of wisdom, a reflective inquiry into existence. Marx's dialectical materialism straddles these realms, offering a critique of capitalist ideology while simultaneously providing a philosophical framework for understanding societal change. Big words, big words, big words. He emphasized the individual's subjective experience over objective truths. In a sense, Marx's vision could be seen as a collective existential journey, where the struggle for liberation becomes a shared narrative. Okay, so let's step back and consider Soren Kierkegaard, father of existentialism. He posited that true faith is a leap into the unknown, a personal journey that transcends societal norms. For Kierkegaard, faith is an intensely personal experience. Not so far off from how many Christians today talk about a relationship with Jesus Christ over religion. Faith is an intensely personal experience, often at odds with societal norms and expectations. It's not uncommon to find a contrarian Christian, the way of opposition for sake of opposition. Ironically enough, Christians will often play devil's advocate if it serves their worldview, their godly perspective. Kierkegaard emphasized the individual's subjective experience over objective truths. In a sense, Marx's vision could be seen as a collective existential journey where the struggle for liberation becomes a shared narrative. Community, right? That's a part of religion? Yeah. In one of his famous quotes, which I love, "People demand freedom of speech as compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use." People demand freedom of speech as compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use.
People demand freedom of speech as compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use.
Yes, freedom of speech is empowering, it's liberating, can feel and sound like autonomous individual freedom, but does it reflect deep independent thought? Does it? Yes, freedom of speech is empowering, liberating, can feel and sound like autonomous individual freedom, but does it reflect deep and independent thought? His critique of superficiality, that whoever is the loudest in the room is the most heard, maybe even the most scrutinized, but it's proven we've made the mistake of prioritizing voice for thought. Voice over thoughtful ideas, careful contemplation, nuanced analysis, critical thinking. Yes, I know, it's harping on my last episode, but here we are now, so deal with it. In another text, Kierkegaard writes, "The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but if one will, are to be lived." Our life always expresses the result of our dominant thoughts. And lastly, faith is the highest passion in a human being. Many in every generation may not come far, but none comes further. Yet Kierkegaard might argue that by reducing human experience to class struggle, Marx neglects the nuances of individual existence. Oh my God, that's so hard to say. Marx neglects the nuances of individual experience, much like how religious dogma can overshadow personal faith. Let's contrast this now with Richard Dawkins, who champions a scientific worldview. He would likely scoff at the idea of a Marxist religion, arguing that it's just another form of superstition. Fair. Dawkins insists on empirical evidence and rationality, highlighting the dangers of ideologies that blind us to reality. In this light, Marxism could be critiqued for its utopian aspirations, potentially leading to authoritarianism when dogma takes precedence over critical thought. So, what's the takeaway here? The potential for Marxism to morph into a religion lies in its ability to galvanize a community around shared struggles and aspirations, yet it risks losing its philosophical roots in the process. Like any belief system, be it Christianity, Marxism, or even the rationalism of Dawkins, it's about finding that delicate balance between ideology, philosophy, and the deeply human need for meaning. I mean, that is his overarching criticism of religion. He said, "I am against religion because it teaches us to be satisfied with not understanding the world." He goes on to say, "Faith is the great cop-out, the great excuse to evade the need to think and evaluate evidence. Faith is the belief in spite of, even because of, the lack of evidence." In the end, whether we're sipping whiskey in a dive bar or sharing bread in a communal hall, the search for understanding and connection is what binds us. Marx, Kierkegaard, Dawkins, they all point to the same truth. The quest for meaning is as intricate as religion itself. A hell of a system we got going on, rich with history and steeped in the struggle of existence. Hey, thanks for watching/listening. If you enjoyed this episode of This Might Get Ugly, please tell your friends and enemies about it. This Might Get Ugly is on Spotify podcasts and on YouTube. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, whatever you need to do. Send a comment, leave a review. All of it really helps me out. Thanks.